So with the power supply now in, along with the CPU and the power switch, we do have enough components to build a basic computer. We don't have, the graphic cards have not arrived yet, but I do have an extra graphics card that I could test it with, and this motherboard does have a VGA port, so onboard graphics. So I am going to start unboxing some of the components and get them ready for assembly, because I do want to test out the very bare minimum of this mining rig, well, what's going to be a mining rig. Also, just to make sure the power works properly and we can get this thing running. Do have a disk to install Windows 10, and we'll see where we go from there. So I unboxed the motherboard, the RAM, the CPU, but still left it in this plastic, and the SSD drive, 120 gigs SSD. The CPU does come with its own fan, and it does have thermal paste already there. So I'm gonna put them together. RAM is gonna go in the DDR. Oh, let's see, put this upside down. There you guys. So over here, we're gonna put it in DDR1. It's a 4 gig stick. CPU is gonna go in here, and then I do need to get a SATA connector. I might not have one, but I think I have an extra one somewhere. I do need to get a SATA connector to connect the hard drive in. And then after that, we gotta connect the power in here to the power supply. So for the CPU, you're just gonna unlatch this, and then that comes out. Okay. And then you line up the CPU in here, and then you put it back on. It's kind of hard to do with just one hand. Don't really want to mess it up, so let me stop this. This black piece needs to be removed as well, because otherwise your fan can't make contact with the processor. So, and it's pretty self-explanatory. So the processor has now been seated in the motherboard, and next is to get the fan. The fan is upside down right now, but to put the fan on and plug it in. Particular CPU heatsink and fan, you just push in, and then it locks itself in place. And then we attach the CPU fan to the motherboard. There we go. Next is the RAM. So in here we have DDR1 and DDR2. We're gonna put this in the RAM in the first slot. Once it is seated in properly, it should lock in place. So next thing we need to do is the hard drive. We gotta get a cable. So I found an extra SATA cable. I did not buy one. I guess I should have bought one and added it into the budget. And we simply, we see over here, SATA 1, 2, SATA 0, I'm sorry, 1, 2, and 3. So I'm gonna stick it into 0. And then into here. So, yeah, let's do it. Right now we just have the basic. So right now we just have the basic components of the computer. We have the motherboard, the CPU, RAM, and a hard drive all connected up. Next is to connect power. So this is the power to the board over here. Let's say ATX. I already plugged it in on one end, and then on this end will go to the motherboard. So it can only go in one way. So let me just make sure it is the right way. And plug it in. And it should lock. Okay, at this point, I'm gonna get a monitor, plug it into this VGA port, just to make sure everything powers on. Oh, I'm sorry. One last thing, SATA needs power. So here's the SATA cable, and we're going to plug it into this IDE, and we'll just plug it into, I'll plug it into the last one. So this will power the hard drive. And this will go into the hard drive. I'm gonna do it with 2 hands. So right now, we do have the basics of a simple computer. Power supply, hard drive, I hooked up the power, SATA connected to the motherboard, power to the motherboard, we have the RAM, and we have the CPU and the fan and heat sink on. So next I'm gonna get a monitor. We're gonna plug it in to this VGA port because there's no graphics cards in here right now. And then we're gonna boot it up and see if we can install Windows via a USB drive. So we're gonna use this USB stick here, USB drive, USB port over here. So I hooked up the keyboard and mouse, video, and of course I forgot the power. So for this motherboard, that little red slot is for the power switch. So I'm gonna plug it in there. Got to add the CPU power to here. So now that that's all added, it's hooked up to the power supply. Over here to the motherboard for the CPU. Next thing we do, I'm gonna plug power in here. And then I'm going to put my switch on and turn it on and see what we got going. Monitor is on. So I got my Windows 10 USB boot disk, and I'm gonna get the installation started for this. And when I get back, I should have Windows 10 installed on this SSD drive. Looks like it's starting to load. Perfect. Great. So in the middle of my Windows 10 installation, I got a notification saying that 2 of my mining cards were ready to pick up. So I didn't video this, but I guess I installed the one card just to give it a test, but I'll do a proper video when I actually install them with the risers and stuff and the brackets. But I did get it going. Once I got the card installed, I downloaded a miner and wanted to give it a good test to see just that it recognized the card. So right now I'm mining Loki, and it's been mining for a while, and I'm getting shares. But this is just a preview. I'll do a more in-depth video later on. I just really got excited that the cards came in, and I wanted to test them out. I'm only testing one card at the time because I do not have the risers, but I did get 2 cards, and I will, as soon as I have the risers and the proper rig, the proper case for all this, because right now they're just standing loose, I will do a video on that. Okay, well, that's it for now. Thank you for watching.